Welcome to our very first Coffee with Samso in 2022. Today we've got Brad Valiukas from Aurumin Limited here with us. We've been postponing this Coffee with Samso since late last year, which is only a few weeks ago, I guess. Brad, thank you for coming and look, first video of the year. Let's make it a big bang. New story. Adding. Oh, to me, it sounds like you guys are building sort of inventory, building assets to your story. So tell us about it.
Yeah, thanks, Noel. Great to be talking today, first one of the year. Yeah, so we've picked up, or we're in the process of picking up the Sandstone assets out of Middle Island Resources, which is a complementary asset to what we already have at Southern Cross. It's 100% in line with what we set out to do, which is build a mining company, moving towards production, multiple production centres. So nothing here takes away from our Southern Cross assets, and we'll continue to pursue those. But certainly Sandstone a little bit more advanced down the development pathway. Existing resource base there, 784,000 ounces, 22 million tonnes at 1.1 grams. We think still a bit of upside there on the existing tenements, and yeah, very happy to be there.
Look, Sandstone is another one of those areas that's sort of been, well, I wouldn't say forgotten, but sort of lacking in news of late, because everyone's, off to new ventures, but it has a lot of history, and we all know it's very well endowed. Like what you guys got there, to me, sounds like a significant acquisition in terms of where you want to go. How do you guys pitch yourself now?
So no, I think we pitch ourselves exactly the same way. So right from day one, we've always said we wanted to grow the company. We were never necessarily limited to one asset area. So this is just following on that strategy. We've always talked about the fact we've got a lot of development and operational experience. So I mean, Sandstone is a great fit for us in terms of growing, but I think as a group, we're actually also a great fit for that asset. I think we can really go in there and add some significant value. And principally right now around 500,000 ounce existing underground resource there that didn't form part of Middle Island's plans, and they had some great success there. They drilled over 500 metres at just under 1.4 grams, but 160 metres at 2.3 grams along the contact. And I think there's a lot to do there in terms of geological understanding, really just identifying it and confirming what's going on there and picking up those high grade areas, and that really just changes the story for that project. So we're keen to get stuck into that.
I always remember you guys as sort of mining guys, and obviously when I saw that you've acquired this project, to me it was a nice fit, and you're right. There is about 500,000 ounces of gold that's sort of sitting there, and sometimes when I look at projects like this, management needs to fit the project as much as the project needs to fit management. But when I said, oh well, these guys must be acquiring this because they know how to improve and add value, right? I mean, that's the key with all this, because when we first talked before, which is March 21, you guys at Mount Dimmer and Mount Palmer really had that fit. But I think this is, correct me if I'm wrong, much more bigger, right?
Yeah, that existing resource basis that's already there. We put out a resource during the year, last year, for our Johnson Range project, 65,000 ounces. Obviously, 700,000 ounces at Sandstone is significantly better. We haven't published a resource yet for our Mount Diamond project because we've still been trying to push that and extend that. They've had really good success at Lightning and Golden Slipper. T12 results have been pretty reasonable there as well in terms of bringing new deposit. LA3 results have been really good. We still do need to grow that project overall though, and so we're still working on that. But yeah, I mean, look, absolutely, like it's just further advanced. It's closer to the pointy end of getting into production, and yeah, is a really good fit for us.
When I look at your presentation, and you guys, obviously there's a myriad of little projects and prospects, but it seems like there's certain key areas like your Shillington 2 Mile. Can you explain to us what you guys see in that? Obviously, you've highlighted there's a reason for that.
Yeah, absolutely. So out of the 784,000 ounces that's there, 657 is in that Shillington and 2 Mile area. So currently that's sort of modelled as 3 separate models, 2 Mile open pit, 2 Mile underground, the Shillington pit, which is so the Shillington's a BIF deposit that runs along, the 2 Miles a tonalite intrusive that comes through. And 500,000 of that is the underground resource, which I think is a little bit too smoothed at the moment. And suddenly there's a huge amount of potential there. Just the geological controls that are in that 2 Mile underground and that tonalite. Certainly we've got some theories about what's going on there, and certainly we see a good grade bias to the contacts, and we see that through a number of holes. It's very, very sparsely drilled at depth. But we certainly do see a grade bias towards the contacts, and if we can turn that over from a 1.1 gram per tonne resource to a bulk mining 2 gram production scenario, focused on the contacts or something else, then that starts to look pretty attractive, and that certainly means that Sandstone, the project that we have there by itself, certainly underpins a potential longer life operation based on that underground. And then the pits, which was Middle Island's sort of final focus in their feasibility activity, they become the sweetener on top and that additional mill feed rather than the baseload feed that was the plan they were on. So just a little bit different strategy, and looking at the data a little bit differently, and we're going to spend some money and put some more holes, some deep diamond holes into that, and prove up what we hope to see.
I know the main game was always about the geology and where you're going to find the extra ounces, but there is also the element that you've actually acquired a mill there. I know I don't like to bark on the fact that you got the mill, because these kind of situations can go for you or against you, but it is always good to have something there, because if you beat your ounces up good enough, you're a few steps closer to the production side, right?
Yeah, so and it's on the ounces, it's not so much that we need to really build them up now. We just really need to define them a little bit better and bring that grade up, because that just changed the story. So which is why I think we're happy with the position that we're in terms of the deal that we've done, because we've got those existing ounces, and like I said, I think we can add value to those. In terms of the existing infrastructure that's there. Look, the mill hasn't worked for a while now, and obviously there's refurbishment costs, and regionally I would hope that at some stage we put in a bigger mill altogether. But the advantage of where we are at Sandstone, publicly available, is the airstrip in town, which is fantastic, and then we've got a camp in town, and we've got exploration officers. There's officers out on site. There's a big ROM pad already built up. There's bore fields. It's existing permitted sites. There's some tails capacity that's still there. I mean, all those things really add up, as well as the physical value of the plant. But regardless of what size we go forward at, and like I said, I'd hope to be going forward at a bigger size than what's been envisaged there in the past. All that other supporting infrastructure, it can take obviously a long time and a lot of money to put together. So we're in a fantastic starting position there to recommence development.
When we talk about Sandstone, obviously your neighbour there, Alto Metals, have done a lot of work, and they've been be able to find a lot of new mineralisation, which really, in some ways, what you've discussed about sort of making your ounces work better for you, and also some of your regional projects that you have there. How much sort of impact would you have, or how much heart do you take from the fact that they're actually finding stuff there already for your regional play here?
No, regionally there's a number of people doing well. So up at Gidgee, there's Horizon and Gateway having good success. At Sandstone, Alto's been doing well, and Middle Island had really good exploration success as well. They found the Ridge, McIntyre, McLaren deposits just as virgin deposits, not huge at this stage, but I think still some upside there. Some really good geochem results where the BIF wraps around the top and a bit of an anticline up there. There's certainly things that we need to go follow up now and continue to build that surface inventory. They put some great holes, as I said, into 2 Mile itself. The guys at Rocks Resources and Venus are doing really well down at you and me. So I think, we've got a 5 by 5 kilometre key tenement package there in Sandstone. We've got a big tenement, exploration tenement further to the south. There's lots of ounces, prospectivity remaining, and both on and off our tenements. Look, I mean, regionally, there's sort of 5 million ounces in that region between a number of different explorers and including our ounces that are there. I think we can take this forward as a robust standalone operation based on bringing that 2 Mile Hill underground into production.
I mean, you come from a mining background, your team is very mining sort of focused kind of people. For the investors out there who see this transaction and saying, okay, well, they've acquired a resource, a mine, that they go, oh yeah, it's a go to production story, but then they look at your grade, and a lot of people say, oh, grade is king, and they say, oh, this is not the flashes. Your mining background, right? I know these things all work, right? Because we see it everywhere, right? I think the super pit is sub 1 or something like that, so we know this work. But can you explain to us and say how that would take place in a situation like yourself?
Yeah, so it's always there's always a bit of chicken and egg thing with I'll start for open pits first of all, because if you have a high processing cost or high cost X mine, then it tends to make the mine smaller, which means you've got less tonnes, which dictates a smaller processing plant that then forces high costs, and it sort of becomes a bit of a circular argument. So certainly when we look at this, and I'm trying not to get sucked into saying we're going to go back to production. So it's an existing plant that says 500,000 tonnes per annum. There's certainly an upgrade path there to around 750,000 tonnes per annum that seems to work reasonably well. But in my mind, I want to be bigger and larger than that, and it sort of opens up a lot more of the different deposits that are there. And then for the underground side, processing cost becomes a little bit less important because just underground mining is more expensive by itself, and always sort of come down to the complexity and the cost. And for me, it's always about the gram meters. So if we can be picking up 10, 20 metre wide stopes at a couple of grams between that 20 and 40 gram meters, 89 mil holes, 30 metre sub-levels, that starts to get pretty efficient. Good return, stoping return per metre of development that goes in there, and it's we can certainly make that work, and I think that could be pretty robust.
I think I always say, I'm not from a mining background, but when you've got, I hear people talk about how they can sort of increase the grade. It's all about modelling and trying to find the best way to attack, and it's not about getting every ounce, right? So getting the best ounce out and making that work, right?
Absolutely, it's about getting the ounces out that make a good profit. I mean, that's what we're all there to do. When we go to development, we're there to make money. We're not there to just mine ounces. So, but certainly we'll be trying to set ourselves up with enough critical mass to start, so as we're in a good position to make sure the costs are nice and low in terms of processing and overheads, and so everything we do makes money. And again, so I don't want to get sucked in too much about the restart and the existing plant that's there, because certainly there's things we could mine, and if we take Johnson Range up there and the existing things, the deposits that are there, and we bring a bit of the underground on or something else, certainly you can sort of get it over the line, but we're sort of mining for the fun of it. Certainly we want to be there at a bigger scale, and that's what that 2 Mile Hill underground will do for us. There's certainly a lot of work to do there to get it into that position, but it'll be the underpinning asset, I think, on that tenement package.
And the underground infrastructure is still in good nick?
There's been no underground there before, so this would be a new startup. It's all been open pits at Sandstone there before, so it would be a clean slate for the underground.
Well, that's a good thing. It's always better to renovation is always a double-edged sword.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean that's good. That's so from your point of view, obviously you guys looked at the project, did some DD, and we talked about how you want to look at getting, well, not getting more, but refining and see where there are more of the same. What's your gut feel of the potential of finding more, or you're thinking let's just make the existing resource work first?
Yeah, I think so. It's a bit of both in parallel. So certainly there's a bit of upside there, and certainly the underground resource below 500 metres, and certainly that 500 to 700. I think we want to extend into that. So I'd love to see that we sort of get to about a million ounce resource number, and then it becomes about making the grade better at that number.
Okay.
And that puts us in a great position to go forward.
Well, I think in some ways, I mean, look, the taking away the mill, I mean, to me, the mill just proves that you were able to process the ore. So it's not a lot of people find out that they have a nice resource, but then they always question mark, you know, can you actually get the metal out?
So no, we'd certainly be looking at plus 90% recoveries for all the material that's there at Sandstone, both based on historically and also test work that's been done. So yeah, we're in a good position to take that forward on processing.
So you guys haven't finished as we go to air, probably you probably have not closed the deal. What's the market saying to you? Are they obviously, you know, I think there's inflationary issues. A lot of people talking about 2022 being that, and I'm a big gold fan. I think gold's going to be here to stay. I don't think gold's going to go to 10,000 because it did. We're all in some sort of poo.
Yeah, there's some big problems at 10,000.
Yeah. I think even at 5 we've got a problem. And I don't see it going backwards because, you know, just all the inflationary issues and stuff. So what's the market telling you?
Look, so from a gold point of view, I mean, there's lots of people are very bullish on gold and what's going to happen, but everybody's also stuck on the fact that it's not moving yet. So certainly when we look at it, we take the view that gold price where it is at the moment, that's what we've got to work on. So we're certainly not saying that, you know, if it just goes to 3,000 or something like that, then it's all okay. I think this is something we're looking to make work with the gold price where it is. And then in terms of general market support for the transaction, you know, we get quite a bit of positivity in terms of there's a decent asset there, and I think we paid a fair price for it, and certainly something we can take forward and. You know, and support to see it happen. It's up to us now to go out there and start putting some holes in, some targeted holes, and really just trying to demonstrate a little bit more of that potential and why we're going to be successful at it where other people haven't quite been there. And the big part of that is, as I said a number of times, that 2 mile underground. Like, it takes a 500,000 ounce asset that wasn't incorporated previously. We bring that in, and it's a completely different picture.
Yeah, I think Aurumin falls into that category. I mean, no fault to you yourself, whereas all the other sectors just taking all the attention, right? Even though everyone sat back and said, look, you know, gold should be this or that, but attention's been thrown to all the other sexier commodities. Yeah,
and I mean, from the mining side, we did it very late last calendar year. I mean, that's where we got to in terms of agreements and doing the transaction. So, you know, it's sort of the worst time to be going out and saying we're trying to fund an acquisition. So, you know, very happy that we've sort of got it to the point that it is at the moment. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, as everybody comes back online, we start getting to talk to more brokers and talk about the upside and what can be there. And yeah, we continue to get support and get some more support.
I mean, timing is what it is. It could be worse, but you know, in terms of going forward, you know, obviously the acquisition, the deal is going to be consummated, and so going forward, what would you see as the immediate steps for you guys?
Yeah, so the first thing we'll be out there doing is some RC drilling around Shillington and 2 Mile, and we'll really be looking to just nail down that connection between the BIF as it sort of plunges down and intersects the tonal light at 2 mile, as well as following up some of the geochem targets that are there. We've got some infill geochemistry to do. Immediately after that, and as part of that RC drilling, we'll be doing some pre-collars for diamond drilling heading into the 2 mile underground. So we'll be following up with diamond rig on site and starting to do some deeper holes. So.
How about the other projects? Obviously, I mean, I do quite like your other projects as well, but obviously this one's going to take a bit of the shine away. But, you know, what is there going to be a focus on that side as well?
Yeah, so we'll keep progressing all our Southern Cross assets, principally Mount Palmer and Mount Dimer. So Mount Palmer, just before Christmas, we completed a soil sampling, rock chip sample north and south of the mine. We've got those assays going through at the moment. We've got guys just driven back out to site now on the other side of the lake to do a soil sample program there. So we'll keep pushing those projects. Mount Dimer, like I said right at the start, we've had some really good results, in particular at Lightning. But we'll step back now a little bit and do more further afield, just trying to make the project itself bigger. But at the same time, we'll also be doing some work to get the pits that are there ready for production, because there's a bit of permitting to do to get that. And so whether that at some stage takes a really long drive up to Sandstone or goes to another mill in the area, we'll make sure we've got those options. Johnson Range, which was always sort of right at the top of the Southern Cross projects, will sort of flip across to Sandstone. It's almost exactly 50% of the way between Southern Cross and Sandstone. And yeah, we'll go out there, and we've got a couple of holes to do, just testing some extensions and also some confirmation work, given none of the holes that are out there to date have been our own. And we've got a little bit more met test work to do out there, so we'll start getting that ready as well to head up to Sandstone.
Correct me if I'm wrong with the narrative that what you guys are doing there with Lightning and everything is probably more advanced than what you want to do at Sandstone, in terms of where you've done the drilling, because it's old pits. You've drilled underneath, you followed it up, you've seen the continuation, and now you're doing all the numbers. And would that?
Yeah, so certainly Lightning and Golden Slipper now are well drilled, and we can do further assessment on those. Just conscious at the moment that, you know, for restarting that project as a standalone, we're not at critical mass there. Yep. But certainly if we've got critical mass somewhere else, like Sandstone, maybe that gives us a few more options for how we approach the assets at Mount Dimer. Yep. But yeah, we'll still be trying to make that project a bit bigger. But yeah, there's a couple of deposits there that are in a pretty good position. Yeah,
I mean, to me, it's I mean, you're right. You know, you're not wanting it to be a standalone, but unless you hit something, you know, and that in the next drill hole that makes you change your mind. But sometimes, you know, you can actually group them together and it's sort of satellite projects and put it in the same mill. It allows the mill to work, right?
Yeah. So Johnson Range is 240 kilometres from Sandstone. It's really good roads, driven the road between there, so it runs the Evanston, UNME Road, and then UNME up to Sandstone Road. So really good condition, nice wide. So hence why we'll flip that over directly, and we'll certainly be working on what our options are for the Mount Dimer, those Lightning and Golden Slipper in particular. So whether they go up to there, whether we hold them as part of a standalone Southern Cross project, or whether we choose to monetise them through a third-party mill, that'll be, you know, that'll sort of take shape as we move through this year.
I mean, in some ways, I mean, it's my opinion anyway that you know, you got 500,000 ounces. Say you find a bit more, and you've done some refining, and then you got your best 500,000 ounces, which is fairly realistic, right? I'm not saying tomorrow, I'm saying down the road. Then you got your mate next door who's probably going to have 300,000 ounces, you know, next door. You know, a common mill would work well.
A common mill would be fantastic. I think if we look at all the guys that are regionally there, they're probably all sort of, you know, not quite scale yet. You know, different people have different views on that, but I think, yeah, obviously anything where you can people have got open pit resources. If you can drop that processing cost down, it makes a massive difference to how much of that resource can convert to reserve and mining inventory. That's just a key part of how we assess these things. So yeah, I think there's a lot of upside there for a large standalone mill in Sandstone, and yeah, we'd love to be playing a part in that, along with anyone else that wants to move into the development space.
Okay, Brad. Look, it's a good story. I think, good one to start of 2022. As I said, we tried to get this coffee Samso for a few times and kept putting it off. Perfect first one for the year. So Brad, look, it's a good fitting end, but we've had some association with Florence Drummond with the Indigenous Women in Mining Resources. So we thought we teamed up and offer people who come on Coffee with Samso a packet of coffee to take away. So here you go.
Thank you, Noel. Much appreciated.
And thank you for participating, and hopefully we'll continue with following your story and see where we go, and you guys will get all the ticks when approval in next in February, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, it should all be completed in February.
Yep.
Originally it would have been great to have completed just at the end of last calendar year, but we didn't quite get there, but February would be good. We're happy to get into it at any time we can.
Okay, thank you, and we'll talk again.
Thanks, Noel.